Hi, Mail Straits here, and it's been a while, but for a relatively good reason. I graduated from university, I'm now officially motion graphic designer, and I got my own place. I got a nice sofa, I got a rice cooker back there, and I get to live all on my own, with some sketchy noises now and then. But hey, still better than the space. I hope my audio is a lot better than my previous video. I realized that my settings were all wrong and I was way too close to the mic and the audio is just awful. So I hope this audio on this video is much better to listen to. So originally, this video was supposed to come out during Pride Month, but I did not make it. So it's coming a few weeks late. For this video, I thought it'd be fun to go over some gods that can be categorized being LGBTQ plus gods, because they're not people. Of course, I'm no expert in these gods or their mythologies, so take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. But if you happen to be a person who practices these beliefs and I get anything wrong, or if I interpreted anything wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments, or share your interpretation of these gods or their mythologies. I think that was everything, so let's get on with the video then. I won't be having a script for this video, so I hope everything goes well. But we start off with one of my favorite gods from Greek mythology, Apollo. So first I started to kind of sketching out I want this kind of floating around with this kind of little whimsical pose, this little I'm having fun kind of feeling. And Apollo's design here is based on my epic design of him, with little tweaks, like a little bit tweaking of his hair and not having the sepal, the little Greek grounding. I forgot what it's called, because it got a little bit complicated with his hair, so I decided to leave it out. And with his kind of hair tidying, I decided to make it more of a setting or rising sun instead of a full sun, because the full sun, I was having a hard time figuring out how that would work because of the rays. I kept thinking, wouldn't those just stab you in the head? So I switched up that design a little bit, and I had a little bit trouble here because I wanted to have Apollo's face shown, but the bangs would have covered it, so I tweaked it a little bit. And also, this part was so freaking hard to figure out because my design of Apollo has his toga. I don't think it's called toga at this point, but anyway, has this kind of slit on his left side, and I realized how it would fold and it didn't make sense, so I had to try to figure out, and it was awful to try to figure it out. Let me tell you, I was cursing myself with that design choice, but after some struggling I finally got it working with, I think, somewhat believable folds. So Apollo is the god of archery, music, dance, truth, prophecy, healing, diseases, and the sun, poetry, and more. I think he has probably the most, like, I don't know what I would call it, but like divine roles. I think Apollo might hold the most of the titles. Apollo is also known being one that has a lot of lovers, and out of those lovers there are some men. I think Apollo actually comes to second place of gods who have male lovers. I think third place is Hermes, and the first place is surprisingly Heracles, which I was surprised by. And I learned this from Instagram channel that I will try to link it down below if you want to check it out. They do a lot of videos of Greek gods and they are a lot of fun to watch. And also Apollo is known for having very tragic like love stories and lovers, one turning into a tree to get away from him, one dying and turning into a flower, if I remember correctly. Again, take it with a grain of salt, I can't exactly remember how that myth went, but I do remember a lover turning into a flower. But apparently those weren't the norm. It was more likely that you got something out of the relationship as a mortal, like some god gives prophecy, some god Apollo as a wingman, like that's apparently a thing in one myth. I believe it is one where Apollo got turned into mortal and he kinda fell in love with this king that he was working for. I can't remember if it was the king he was working for, but some king. And after he became god again, and this king asked for his help for impress a possible bride, and Apollo was like, sure thing, let me help you. Like, for all of things that gods can be awful of, at least they are good wingmen. For this illustration, I wanted the gods have different pride flags, and for Apollo, I decided on the Pan flag. I was thinking of Pride flag, but I felt like the Pan colors being a little bit more vibrant fit Apollo a little bit better, so that's the flag I decided to go with. Also, this flag's gravity was incredibly hard to figure out because I realized how the flag would fold if it held certain type, and I did not have the flag for a reference, so I was struggling with it for a while, but I think I got it working somewhat that it looks like a flag if it were held like that. Also, I did a little bit of tweaking with some of Apollo's color design. It is very minimal from the original design, so you most likely won't notice. And after I got all the colors down, I started to do the shading, which I decided to keep pretty simple. Depending on piece what I'm working on, the shading style can change a little bit, but I mostly like the shell shading, so that's what I used here. Doing very simple, and I decided to color some of the line art. That's not something I always do, but for these pieces I decided to do it because I thought it was fun. And Apollo just floating there, I felt like it needed something, so I decided to add this little bluish dot sky thingy, then just floating in a white space. So yeah, I'm very happy how Apollo turned out. As I said, Apollo is one of my favorite gods, so I was really happy with this illustration, and I hope you like it too. So let's move on to the next god. So our next god, or should I say goddess, is Athena. She is from the same pantheon as Apollo, but she's so iconic goddess, I had to include her, considering she's peak our race representation, so I cannot just not include her in this video. Like, there are other virgin gods in Greek mythology, like Hestia and Artemis, but for example with Artemis, her maidenhood can be interpreted as possibly being a lesbian also, so I decided to go with Athena. So Athena has a lot of myths about her. One of my favorites is her being born, the way she emerged from Zeus's head fully armored and grown and gave Zeus a big headache, which I love. We love anyone who makes Zeus's life a little bit harder. And of course, we see her training Odysseus and then training his son. And of course, there are some Russian myths about her, like her cousin Arachnid. But to be fair, you should not claim you are better than a god. Not saying Athena was right, but still, do not curse the gods. Well, not curse. Don't claim to be better than them, like Arachnid claimed to be better than Athena in Raving, which is immediately like, are you crazy? But despite that, Athena is very cool goddess, and for this illustration I wanted her to have this powerful feeling to her, so I had her kind of standing a little bit like a general battle ready with the arrow-ace flag kind of folding from her arm to the ground. I really liked this pose for her, and again I decided to add the same blue dot background for Athena also, because once Apollo had it, everyone had to have it, so they are all like one part of the same set. So yeah, I really love this one, and I hope you love it too. And as our final god, but not least, is the Aztec god of gaze, love and beauty, also known as Xochipilli or the Flower Prince. And I wanna apologize if I pronounce his name wrong. I watched some pronunciation videos, so I hope I got it at least a little bit right. But let me know in the comments if you know how to pronounce his name. The Aztec mythology is relatively new ground for me to learn about, and I was so excited about when I learned about Xochipilli. And he also has a sister known as Xochiketsu, also known as Flower Feather. From what I understand of their myth, they were once the same goddess, but after some marriage drama, then fell in love with other god who were then not allowed to be with, and then there was a new age where there came a new son, and they got split into two. I really recommend checking Aztec mythology out because it's really interesting, and I cannot tell too much about it because, as I said, it's very new ground for me. For this illustration, I used some references of actual Aztec art of Sesapili, but if you've ever seen Aztec art, it is a little bit hard to figure it out. Like, I was staring at this one picture of Sesapili where I had no idea what he's wearing. Is he actually red or what? So there are some creative liberties for this, but I tried to follow few reference photos of Aztec art and a statue of him, and I think I did pretty well, though I am sad I couldn't figure out the headpiece in this reference photo. I tried looking up different Aztec headpieces, but none of them quite looked what was in the reference piece, so I decided to just do this headband with some feathers because Sesapili is also god of dancing, which is why I decided to sketch him out dancing. And for this dance, I looked up some Aztec dancing to see if there's any specific moves or something I could use as a reference, and there was a lot of like stomping and kind of spinning around, so that's what I tried to kind of use a reference for this illustration. You tell me if I succeeded or not, because Aztec dancing looked really cool when I looked at the videos, and they also had this, I presume it's kind of like Malakasi, but not sure if that's what it is. Again, do let me know if you know what it's actually called in the comment section. I will pin you. And in the reference photos, it looked like he has some face paint, so that's what I decided to do on like his face, arms and feet. And also in the statue of him, there are these flower patterns on his skin, so I decided to use those in this illustration. And I also kind of looked at the Aztec dancing outfits a little bit for inspiration. And I really hope I did this god any justice in this illustration, but this was really fun to draw and learn about the Aztec mythology. So yeah, we are done. I hope you all liked this speed paint and my commentary. I really hope that it was more pleasant to listen to now that the mic quality might be a little bit better. And I just had a lot of fun doing this and explaining a little bit about them. But yeah, if you happen to like my videos, subscribe, leave a like, and also check out some of my other videos. There are some speed paints, animatics, and don't worry if you want more animatics, they are coming. I just haven't had time. The next one most likely will be the god games. I have almost all the designs ready. I only have to do Hephaestus and then I can start planning it. I have already thought to what I want to happen in it. I just need to start sketching it. So yeah, stick around if you like my videos, and I see you later. Bye!